I hate how the AI like flick shot you, kinda. They get one free hit in, typically. Do you like the explosion sounds, Renzo? The sounds of the booms? Because they changed too. I feel like they should be more substantial. Like, I like how it sounds. I just wish it had more impact when something exploded. It's like, it needs to be more skewed towards being arcadey versus realistic. Because right now, I'd say it's too skewed towards realistic. Renzo. I think Renzo died at some point, probably. That would make a lot of sense if you ask me. Alright, I do have a theory. I got a theory as to why the people who play the Elite Dangeroso like their you know, drifty aim and whatnot. I think it makes weapons where, you know, they have like long reloads. I think it makes those easier to aim, and it makes tracking weapons harder to aim. And I don't know how many people. I need to know how many people use something like fixed multis in Elite, or something along those lines. So I need to know that to like test the theory, which is like, it's an Alistair. Roxortism. They seem significantly better against AI than real people. I mean, there's also my flying, that's the problem. It's not as good as it should be for the weapon. It's like, to use this weapon, you need to be twice as good at close range as you currently are. I came back. Woo. I did well in the second half of that fight. I sucked at the beginning. Man, it would be like the funniest thing if somebody for their 100-net stream found a way to mute like all the like in-game sounds other than like the engine noises, and then they jack the volume as like loud as it would possibly go. So that it just annihilates the bass of like everyone's speakers and nothing else. That'd be really funny. It's like if he ever did a power burn, it would destroy like half of the headphones that we're watching, at least. Alright, I'll say. To type the hello, even though I'm very bad at typing. It's almost like I'm a console gamer or something. That's why I talk more than type. Because I hate it. Well, I felt like I was doing better, especially against AI with Gatling. That's the main reason I decided, it's like, let's try rocks with FA off, then. And it's like, against AI, it's like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's like, I can do well with this against AI. It's just that the players, it's like, yeah, we're not doing well. It feels like we're getting lucky more than anything else. So much bass. I wonder if Rocks underperformed compared to Plasma now, because Plasma got more damage. I wonder. That's something I'm curious about now. So I'm not doing anything. Ignore me. Yay, Rocks. Against Renzo, it's an okay experience. is how I'd rate that, the difficulty. It's like, it's okay. It's not as bad as fighting Maxi and Boxel at the same time. It's not as bad as that. But I would not say that this is a good idea in terms of the and then Alistair's a plasma. It's like, honestly, that feels about the same difficulty. Rock against and plasma Alistair, as well as a rock against the Renzoi. They feel like the same difficulty. Very similar. The only problem, well, doing it against Renzo is more consistent, though. Well, Renzo of HVC. If it was Renzo with Vulcan, I'd probably be doomed. With a rock. And then that starts, you know, the tango of weapons where both of you are, like, changing each other's weapons to counter what the other guy has every time you have a duel. Start doing the Mexican shuffle. This bomber has, like, that must have been like, at least one hole in that bomber. I got so many direct hits on him, and he just lived for so long. Yeah, so I do think when streaming using Invink, I think, because it's just putting too much load on graphics, I think it does create, like, a persistent micro stutter. But the frame rate is so high that it just can't stutter that much. But it almost feels like everything is, like, vibrating very slightly on my end. On the stream, it should look perfect. But on my end, it's like everything is, like, has the world's tiniest shimmer to it, is what it feels like. But I think it's worth it for the stream quality, because I know it will make the stream better to do it this way. It just makes my experience playing while streaming worse. Compared to if I change settings, it would lower the stream quality, but it would make my experience a lot better. It's like, well, I only stream, like, maybe 4 hours a week. At, like, the most. So I think I could tolerate a little bit of, like, increased misery. Just to make the stream quality, like, negligibly better. I mean, Renzo hasn't complained, so that's my only metric for how bad the stream quality. It's like rate of Renzo complaining over time. And it was highest, like, 2 months ago, so I changed it back to the old settings, which didn't work as good. I don't think so. Ah! We just gotta do the TY and get something attacked. The Hoover. Yeah, warm-up / hustling. So you start out with the HVC because you're not as good with it, and people are like, yeah, you're pretty good at this game, but I bet I could get you. Then you switch to the Vulcan and kill everyone. when they feel like they're starting to make some ground, you just switch to the weapon you're actually good with, instead of just competent with, and then you crush their hopes and dreams like nothing. I think the worst thing to happen to you when you're using Rock is somebody just spraying you with, you know, Vulcan or something. Like any weapon, actually. Just them spraying you, even if they're going, like, into their energy, because you can't really capitalize on it without endangering yourself. So I feel like that's, like, the worst thing that could happen, where it's like you're guaranteed to, like, at least get damage taxed. If, like, a GAT user decides he's just gonna spray you for a while. I think in that situation, you're doomed if you're a Rock user. Like, single Rock user. If a GAT just decides he's just gonna spray you, I think you're just doomed. It's like, there's no way you're gonna do well unless he sucks. That's the only way you win that fight is if he's terrible. That's the only way you could win. Or if they don't suppress you with the get, that's the other way you win. Want to get the Hoovu. Ah! What in the world? It came out of nowhere. A light came out of nowhere and spooked me, because it was a Gatling light. So I just heard a Gat spin up like 2 feet from me, and I was just like, no! Bad. Bad-tism. Yeah, HVC is very bad to fight against too with Rock, because they can suppress you forever. So, oh, that is awful. That's a very bad... The difficulty on that is probably the worst so far. Going against an Alistair for heavy when you're using a rock, that's the worst so far for like difficulty. Like that is insanely like difficult. Might have better success being like really aggressive and just trying to like get around him. That might work better, but in terms of like trying to like space him, it's like, yeah, that's the difficulty on that is a little insane. Because he's really accurate. He's Like, I can tell he's accurate. But he's an accurate pip user. So, every single shot, if I'm not moving, he's probably gonna hit it. But I just move out of the way of his shot every single time, basically. Because it's not that he's inaccurate. He's really accurate. He's, like, extremely accurate. He's one of the more accurate players in the entire game. But because he's accurate aiming at one spot, I can fool him. It's like, he's not... It's like, he's probably in the situation where he's aiming at the pip, doing that really well, and then losing fights, and he's just wondering what's going on. See, he's on flak now, we're fucked now. Because he's gonna hit really well with that. It's like, weird, absolute... I'd be absolutely doomed, I'm pretty sure now. There's no way I could possibly win. I don't think. With rocks. It's like... And not Gat, because Flak's just so good against Gat. It's like, I'm pretty sure I'd be doomed. At least Flak doesn't have as much DPS. But it's like, yeah. So, but what I will do is like, now I'll try the rushing down. So I feel like it's the only way I'd have a chance. Flat? Well, yeah, that's what he said. He said all the fast weapons are going to get projectile speed nerfs. Alright, yeah, that is the solution to that problem. Because him with a flak is, like, really scary, because he's going to hit you. You just need to rush him, like, you need to be hyper-aggressive in that, like, type of deal. Otherwise, you're actually in a lot of trouble against, like, pip. Like, if people are really good pip aimers and they use, like, a flak, that's, like, one of the worst things that could happen to you. You just need to, like, be extremely aggressive on them. I think that is the solution to the problem. You know. But yeah, but literally in, like, the message that he said that, like, fast projectile speed weapons are gonna get nerfed in their projectile speed. The faster, the more they're gonna get reduced in their speed. Which I feel like is fantastic, because it's gonna make all the guns... There won't be, like... It won't be as much where a gun's, like, the easy way out as much. It'll make Gat, like, a lot harder to use, because it's a... Because Gat requires tracking, and the fact that it's gonna get less projectile speed. It will make Gat a lot more skillful than it is right now. Because, I mean, technically the lowest skill weapon would be the flak. Technically. If you're going by, like, the standpoint of, like, hitting your target and doing damage, the flak's, like, the easiest weapon. But in terms of actually winning fights with it, it's not the easiest. I'd say that'd be technically the Vulcan. In terms of the easiest weapon to win a fight with, it's probably the Vulcan. Even though the Vulcan technically isn't the easiest to use. And it's just because it's just too, like, solid of a weapon, where it's like, you just have the best chance of winning any fight. He's on plasma again. Ah! Oh, we smuggled the rocket where it needed to go. Ah, I hit the rock too. I need to go back to repair now. Although, I could switch to being diverging, that might help. Instead of mostly random movement, try to diverge instead of half converging, half random, which I think is what I'm doing. I think the pure converging flight style died months ago. It also, I don't think would work with the flight assist being off. Like, I couldn't make it work. It's like, I'm not accurate enough with my pitch and yaw to converge on any. I mean, if I turn the assist back on, it might work out. I can just turn L flight assist back on. It feels really weird having the aim assist. Not aim assist, it's pitch and yawing assist. It feels weird to have it on. Like, it's so twitchy. Springy. Very springy. Sprongy. Ah! I feel like the AI are really mean today for some reason. Maybe that would work too. Big, like, just like moving your pip, like, in a macro scale versus a micro scale. Which I think that's what doing, like, really high speed path, I think that's what that does. But the problem is that that's moving the pip in, like, one direction, like, really, really well. But nothing else. And it's like, if they keep up with the one direction you're moving their pip in, it's like, well, if they can keep up with it, you're doomed. But if they can't keep up with it, you might be in business. Oh, that's another thing that I just was thinking. That's another thing Gatling does. If someone's using a Gatling against you and they fully rev it up, that's like the best way you're gonna figure out how they aim at you. Because you'll see every change they make when they're aiming at you. That's like the best way you have of figuring out how they're aiming at you. In terms of, like, how... do they make, like, tiny corrections? Do they make, like, big corrections? Alright. We did it. So, yeah. If he was more defensive, I think he probably would have won. He's also very aggressive. That's the other thing. He's very aggressive, too. Because if he was, like, more like El Checker Man. Professional Gat Boy. Allegedly. He'd be, like, moving away a lot more. Pretty notes. And I just love how playing on Sydney a lot, playing on, like, London, it's like, it's nothing, man. 100 ping is, like, 10 in my mind now. Compared to 250 to 350, it's like... oh yeah, London, it's like, it feels like the ping's 10, and then, like, going to New York or Dallas is, like, 0. It's, the ping's 0. It's just 0. Changed my mind about it. It's like, Ozzyland puts stuff in perspective with, like, ping. I mean, everyone there is used to playing with, like, 1,000,000 ping. I think the rock helped me. Good rock. Nothing happened. Got it. Oh no, not the plasma. Alright. I didn't get the test diverging because I was doing too bad of a job of managing the G-force. Where I couldn't see his shots coming in for like long enough. There. I think that's the best way I can explain. Especially Heavy. I hope he doesn't figure out that Heavy's probably the best thing he could use against me. It's like, no. Please don't figure it out. I don't want to tell him that, but... Just because he can spam a Heavy all darn day and never run out of energy. Which is why Heavy is one of the main weapons I'm scared of, because people can spam it all day and not run out of energy with that particular weapon. That's why I wanted to nerf in that respect. It's like... it's a little bit, like, insane. It's like, yeah. But nerf it, like, slightly. Nerf it where it's like, I don't know, 30 or 20 seconds of sustained fire and then you're out of energy. Even if you're, you know, if you're, like, using your engines normally, it's 20 or 30. Although, that would probably mean that if you're not using your engines and you're being a turret for, like, your team, you might literally be able to still fire it forever. That's why it's like, I want to nerf Heavy Cannon that one way, I just don't want to nerf that weapon, because that weapon doesn't, it's like, there's a lot more weapons that perform better than it. It's like, I don't want to nerf a very specific weapon in a specific way. Just because, like, I don't like it. Even though, I mean, I do, though. I just don't want to suggest it to, like... in, like, any authoritative capacity. Because I'm pretty sure I suggested the Fernando. I just wasn't very assertive where it's like, you have to do this because the game is objectively terrible the way that this one gun is. And the fact that it's like this just proves that you know nothing about how guns work and should fire yourself for that. It's like, nothing like that. I was just like, oh, if I was changing the weapons, this is what I would do. That was probably all I said. I don't remember the specific message I sent. So, even though I did suggest that. But hey, I'm finally getting the faster guns to be slowed down, which is one thing I wanted. Oh, yeah, I got a spooky DM. I'll read it in more depth later. Actually, I need to switch back to the voice cat in Discord in case Daze decides to DM me anything terrifying. So I got 3 things open on monitor too. It's like the Twitch chat, the Streamlabs activity log, and Discord are all on monitor 2, which is the 1440p monitor. Which is a big upgrade over the old terrible HD one that I was using as a second screen. Because the extra pixels means I can make the window smaller and still see everything I need to see. Which is, like, ideal. It's like, I didn't even realize that would be a benefit I would have from, like, getting my main monitor changed out to a lower resolution, higher refresh rate. And I'd say by now, it's like, when I first had it, I was, like, looking at, like, all the lack of, like, sharpness and everything, and quality compared to, like, the 1441. Now it's like, I don't care as much as I did when I first got it. Yes. Wants to do the poovy poos. Yeah, I'm running on half texture because I figured out that's where graphics card, not bottleneck but bound, not the textures but the texture processing. It's like my GPU can only do so much texture work before it's gonna slow down its frame rate, even if it's not doing anything else. Like, even if I have AA turned off and all the other fancy nonsense. There's just a limit on the texture fill rate, and I think having the texture set to max on some maps in HunterNet is, you know, overburdening the peak texture fill rate on a 1070. It's not good enough. So that was like one of the things I sent the Fernando. It's like, I figured out that lowering textures can actually improve your frame rate even if you're nowhere near your VRAM limit. And I think it's like, it must be the texture fill rate, or something like anisotropic filtering, if that's set to like 16 times baked in. The fact that I'm trying to like get every drop of FPS out would mean that anisotropic filtering, which typically does basically nothing to hurt your performance, will actually matter now. Because everything else has already been optimized. So the fact that that's the last thing left to turn off might really ruin me. Yeah, the plasma buff is pretty good, though. It'll just be way better when the other guns get slowed down. That's what's really gonna make plasma, like, absolutely freaking terrifying. I mean, it's already pretty terrifying, because it's like, if you don't dodge this, you'll die. But then it'll be like, if someone gets close to you, you ain't dodging it, so yeah. Basically, the time to kills across the board should get a lot faster. I mean, they're already fast, it's just gonna get faster in the sense that it's going to be harder for people to extend fights to longer amounts of time. Which I think the people from Elite Dangerous probably won't like that, but oh well. I'm not even sure if I like that. It's like, I don't know, we'll have to see. I just need to do a universal damage nerf, I don't know. Just to make the overall TDKs a little bit longer. Because people can hit each other easier with weapons that do more damage in a general sense. Yeah, I smuggled that rocket. I boosted it. Alright. Oh, also. I mean, yeah, it is called repair and kill. Alright. So. Alright. Also. Yeah, who has the server? It should be him because he joined first. Yeah, alright. Also. I'll just make sure of it, because I want repair and kill on, basically, because he has the admin. Yeah. I just wanted to explain it. It's the Elite Dangerous enemy explaining stuff to people that basically don't need to hear you explain it because they already know. That's why everyone gets sucked into that trap of explaining, like, every possible detail of, like, a thing. It's like, I don't know, it's like, I mean, it's a matter of... It's a matter of time. It's like, crap. Alright. Yeah, it's like, I'm going to die to him at some point. Because he's actually pretty good at the game. He just needs more practice in this game specifically, but it's like the other games he's played, it's like he's already like really good. He just needs more practice in this game specifically, and like the things you do in this specific game, with the specific playstyle that you specifically have. Specifically. Oop. Renzo's killing turrets. He's so eager. I mean, I could be more aggressive and I'd probably have a higher chance of dying him anyway, and plus I could practice being closer, because I'm not good with the flight assist being off. I got way worse when I'm up close to people, because I can't, like, keep up with them. Because I'll overshoot, undershoot, all the shoots. I'll do everything but, like, accurately move the shot. When like up very close, so I think I should do that to be more fair. Did you find something out? Oh, I snuck a hit in when his shield was low. Oh, congratulations! Thanks for telling me that when I earn minimum wage. You tism. I don't care. I'm happy for Also, I'm in the middle of fighting, you tell me. A ladder. I have the kind of job where I don't actually know how much my coworkers get paid, so I have no idea if I have a good wage or a bad. It's a mystery. It's a bit of a mystery. Yeah, I could ask them, but I just don't want to. So I don't want to ask people how much they get paid every hour when I don't talk to them, like, even superficially, like, other than hello and hi. So I don't want to, like, just go up and ask them how much they make, because it's like... So invite me, it's like, not really, but then again, it's not like I'm inviting them to anything. It's like, it kind of makes sense. It's like, people are friendly and conversational, I just don't have, like, a lot of interest in them as tisms, so, you know. It's like... Rebel Galaxy. That's a tism game for tisms. It might still be $2. Oh yeah, I'll do that when I, like, replay it. Because because I already told you, I never did that. That was something I was thinking of doing. Because I thought it would actually be pretty good. Alright. We got it. Yeah, Impfuck. Yeah, Impfuck does very good at just, like, disabling every fighter that gets near you. It's really funny. But I don't particularly want to use it. I probably want to use, like, some sort of... maybe the dumbfires. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I like the disabling. The disabling is what makes it, like, the best. Because I think it does the same DPS as normal flak. It's just more expensive. Which sometimes matters. He's gonna get me. Like I said, it's a matter of time because especially because he's using GAT. It's like I said, against GAT users, it's really hard. Yeah, Chef Yard, I still miss him too. It's like I say, it's a matter of time. It's like if someone's GAT in your rock, it's like, yeah, they're gonna get you. They're gonna get you. You will die to them. And it doesn't matter to me. Just use... you want to. It's like... so you can be good with it, terrible with it, I don't care. Just use the weapon that you want to use. So, yeah. So I would say... fighting it at short range, unless we get very lucky, I think is a fool's errand. I think what we need to do is hope that he pushes me, and I somehow manage to counter him. Which might happen. I might suddenly learn the correct amount of leading at long range for Rock. That would be nice, man. I mean, I'd have a better... I mean, I'll live longer, but I feel like it's just losing more slowly, you know? Because I can't hit him. I hit myself. He lost track of me, and then I got him. That was really fun. Renzo, are you targeting me right now? You're triggering the attacking a lot. Yeah, you have the auto lock on, and then it's just auto locking, and yeah, probably. Yeah, but this is definitely the kind of.
Hello?
Hello. How do you
Hey,
do?
I was just chatting to Renzo and I noticed you guys were all in voice chat, so
Yeah,
better
I'm
if I
also
join.
streaming right now, just so you
You're
know.
streaming? Okay, that's cool. Um, Now I was telling Renzo, he sent me a message about the plasma cannon, heavy cannon buff. Seems to have been quite a buff. Has that been your impression of it too, Gunman? I
So,
haven't had enough to
yeah, it's a
kind
good
of play with it
buff.
this week.
I feel like they're gonna be very terrifying when the projectile speeds happen. It's like, well, I just want to sneak more than anything.
Yeah. So this is what I told Renzo is basically this. You know, I have been making some small in terms of amount of work changes that were balance related, and I didn't add them as test parameters simply because what I'm trying to avoid
Ah,
is I don't want to have
damn
a huge like uh, debate over them, right? Oh, this is too strong. So I'm doing stuff that I think is relatively low risk,
it. Mhm.
and I'm not. That's why I'm not putting them in as a test parameter. But whenever I make those changes, I always write down what the previous values were. So if I overshoot, the worst possible thing that can happen is like Monday. If it's obvious, I patch it back to whatever the previous value was.
Yeah.
But what's more likely to happen is that, okay, I make a change, it's not quite perfect, but the next week I'll try a value that's a little bit higher, a little bit lower based on my feeling and everybody else's general sort of feeling, right? Um, and if I do it that way, what that allows me to do is, even though I'm working on other things, we can still get some small refinements to the gameplay without it requiring a lot of time or effort, right? Um, the other thing I'm trying to do is finish the last of the currently planned sort of like core combat changes, and to me that meant getting the new silent running in, unifying the difficulty settings, um, changing the way the
So much
targeting and all that
shooting.
worked. You want the old chip?
Yeah, Chef Yard
Probably,
Matt.
probably
Wow!
not. There is another map in development, so
I want it back. I miss it
you want.
badly.
We should make one that's based on that maps. There's two maps on
So,
development. You missed tunnels.
I
There's definitely
I
tunnels
was
coming
I was
back.
feeling. I remember Boxel
That was sort of
mentioned
slower.
that he I think he said something like, yeah, we're working on a remaster for it. I feel like he said that just to make me feel better, and it
No,
wasn't
no, he's
true.
been working on stuff. So, but yeah, that map
No,
is just
I
too
got
ugly.
a bot in my cat. Evil bot.
But anyway, what was I saying? So the last changes is like I felt like the enhanced silent running was good. I got it into the game and the core logic is there. But just like the original version of the lead ring, it still needs some tuning to actually be where I want it to be. Right now, it's not that useful in my opinion. I mean, it is useful for sure, but it's not as useful as I wanted it to be. Um, so hopefully this week's version will be a little bit more useful. And also use it. I see it as having more than one use. One use is sneaking around, but the other one is sort of as a balancing factor against the advanced target computer, where yeah, you can equip that advanced target computer, but you might run into people who have silent running turned on, and then all of a sudden you don't have that advantage that you're used to having. So that's going to make you think, okay, maybe I can't rely on this thing 100% of the time. Um, the other one, the other thing that's really important, I think, for Sunday's build is I'm tweaking boost to be a little bit better, and I'm lowering the projectile velocities. But
Yeah.
instead of just being a straight reduction like before, it's a reduction that's going to be more
Whoa.
apparent for the fastest weapons and then less apparent for the slowest
Give me a
weapons.
minute.
So it should have a bigger impact on flak, gat, and bolt, but less of an impact on like heavy cannon, plasma cannon, and rockets. Um, Which if that turns out well, then maybe for example, the plasma cannon and heavy cannon don't need as much of a damage buff because now they're not as slow compared to the GAT and the flank as they used to be before. That's the general idea. But the intent, like I told Renzo, is I want it to be easier for you to avoid getting hit. I feel like right now, especially with the faster weapons and with the advanced target computer, it can be really hard to avoid getting hit, even if you're flying really aggressively. Yeah, rocks shouldn't be very different.
Yeah.
The biggest difference will be in
That's the main thing I was saying. Is like rocks have been like indirectly nerfed by plasma getting a buff, especially. Alright, I'm giving it.
Oh yeah, because plasma is a lot better, but
yeah,
than it was before. That's for sure. But yeah, so we'll see.
But it'll all converge. It'll converge when like all the projectile speeds get changed.
And the other thing I think about it is like whenever you're doing balance changes, it's a lot like adjusting your lead. Now you shoot. Oh, I shot to the left. Okay, then I'm gonna shoot to the right. Oops, I shot to the right, and it's kind of like a walk towards the sweet spot. And it's actually better if after I make a change, if it's noticeably better or even a little OP, then the change was too small and you can't tell the difference, because if the change is too small, I can't tell the difference, then it gets harder to find that sweet spot in the next change I make. You know what I mean? Hey, All-Star or All-Star.
Yeah, hello. I'm having fun and streaming. It's great. My graphics card did definitely handle it. Well, it can handle it. It's just not the happiest thing.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Did you guys notice the biggest difference in the change to the heavy cannon or the change to the plasma cannon?
Probably plasma. Okay. The heavy cannon, I'm sure, is doing better. It's not as noticeable.
Heavy cannon got a smaller buff, and heavy plasma cannon got a bigger buff. Yeah, I mean, Rocket is not meant to be the ultimate like one-on-one kind of fighting weapon. And especially going forward, it's going to be more and more.
What are you talking about? I thought it was the best 1v1 weapon in the game. As I'm having.
It's good for finishing off people running away. I've gotten killed by it quite a few times. When Daze is chasing me from behind, gets it just right, boom, blows me to smithereens.
Yay! All right, nothing happened.
that's a squeal. But anyways, this week I've been working on planning and low-level stuff anyways, because that is a lot more important.
Yeah, I got you.
Anyways, I took a little break. I'm gonna get back to work.
Oh yeah, did you say anything about the texturing? Because I just found that one really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on. The only thing I can think of is, you know...
The main thing I was thinking of, I'm thinking the graphics card has, like, a peak texture fill, right? And I think that on the Primordial map, there's just so many textures getting drawn that my graphics card's getting saturated from doing all the texture work.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something like that. If you have a lower resolution, it's going to use less bandwidth.
Yeah, because it's not even bandwidth, because I'm only at 3 VRAM out of 8. So it's not the bandwidth, I think it's post-processing and just, like, drawing it, like, regardless. It's really weird of an issue, because it's like I've never had this issue in any other game. Any other game, it's like, you just ignore textures as long as you're under your VRAM. It's not going to affect your frame rate.
Yeah, well, it could be that, you know, Hunter and his tri-counts are pretty moderate, whereas the textures are pretty high res, so...
Yeah, and the other thing, it's like, is there any post-processing, like, anisotropic filtering that's just baked in and you can't change, like, how much it's doing? Is there anything like that going on?
Yeah, there's some stuff that I haven't let you... that don't let you change, that are set on some reasonable default values, so...
Okay, because it's like, I mean, personally, I would love to have access to those and turn them all off forever, but...
You could use your graphics card driver to force it off for Hunter.
Yeah, I could use... I mean, I know I could force off anisotropic with NVIDIA control panel, and I can do the AA as well. I just typically don't like doing it, because I feel like it causes instability with the games that you do it for.
It should be
I feel like
with it,
HunterNet.
so
I feel like HunterNet especially. It's like it might just be like placebo, like me noticing
yeah.
tiny stutters more than I normally would, which are
Yeah.
always there.
Yeah.
I mean,
In terms of graphic settings, I already had it on my list
yeah.
to look at some shadow quality, but at the same time, I don't want the graphic settings to get overly convoluted.
Oh, don't worry.
And
Oh,
so-
you don't. The last thing you need to worry about with a PC game is making the graphic settings too customizable. I can guarantee that much. It's the last thing you need to
Well,
worry about. I think most
well,
people
another-
want like per pixel settings for
Yeah,
every
I know,
pixel
and
on their
will
body.
will want me to like implement every single graphic setting under the bridge, but it's like a matter of time and attention too, and I have to rewrite that whole graphics settings page. So compared to like getting the open world game loops in,
Yeah.
it's pretty
All the
low
other
priority.
stuff.
Right? I mean, everything has a cost.
Yeah.
so
I'll try
I look at
forcing
it only
Ennio
isolate.
Sorfric off and see if that does anything to the frame rate.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Oh, I can
I need to
force
do
it.
more
I can force
testing
it on a
on it.
×2.
Days.
I can do
and
that.
I mean, that's another perfect example right there. Like switching over the HDRP render pipeline
Right.
might change the performance difference of the materials and the textures.
Yeah, we can fight now,
for
Alistair.
some weird reason. You never know.
No, not Floyd. It's a bad
Okay,
gun.
well, I gotta get back to work. Just wanted to sort of pitch in since you guys are playing, and keep an eye on the balance changes. Don't make a big stink out of them because, like I said, they're easy enough to tweak. And if it becomes a big time sink, then I won't be able to make them.
It does make it
And I think
harder.
it's more important. It's more important for us to be able to experiment than not experiment.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you later.
Alright, you have a good one.
Yeah.
Bye. See ya, Alistar. See ya, Renzo. See ya, Days.
It's mainly the whole your projectile gets shot down if anything. That's the main thing that makes it harder to get. Sorry, it's rock scout. It does work sometimes.
Yeah, when that thing hits the
Yeah, well, it has to be a
Damage.
direct hit because they also proxy detonate. I don't think they proxy detonate when they should. I don't think they do that though, but it's possible that it's happening. If it's happening, I'm not noticing. I don't think they.
Yeah, I can't tell. I'm not really familiar with rocket launchers.
Yeah. Basically, you shoot a rocket. It does indirect damage and direct damage. If the missile thinks it'll get a direct hit, it won't proximity detonate. But if it's gonna like be a near miss, it will proximity detonate, so it does a small amount of damage.
Okay, yeah.
The main thing I was wondering is, does it prematurely detonate when it would get a direct hit if it just didn't arm defuse? That's what I'm wondering. It's like, I don't think it does that, because it doesn't look like that's what's happening.
Well, maybe there's the rocket could check whether the projectile will miss the ship or not. Like if it's slightly going to the side of the target, if it's not exactly right in front of the ship, maybe there's something like that.
It could be something like that. I think I did mention that the thing needs more than one gat or flak shot to destroy it, because it's like, in my opinion, that makes it where those two weapons kind of hard counter it. Especially like gat, because it's like if a gat spools up and it hits, it's like you can't fight back at all. It's just a DPS. Like you kind of are forced to break off. It's like, yeah, but it's like Fernando said, it's not supposed to be a 1v1 weapon, even though I want it to be. But it's like I want it to be a 1v1 weapon. It's not though. It has a it's a bad weapon for 1v1.
And the worst part is you're managing to making it work and without targeting computer, so that's just brutal to me.
Yeah, well, I have like many months without targeting computer, because being able to disable it was like last July of like last year or whatever, so it's almost gonna be like the anniversary of it. So I've been playing ever since that came out. That's the only way I've played the game, is with it off. So I only have practice with it off. Even though I did try to lead the circle, I thought it was pretty cool actually. I quite liked it, but I just turn it back off because I don't use it. It's like back to having nothing.
Okay, I'll try something else. Try another weapon.
Yeah, another weapon. I don't know, I might go back. I might go back to Gatling just because it's hard to aim a tracking weapon with FA off full for me, because I'm not used to it. And I think generally with how it works, I think it's where, you know, single fire weapons, I think are just easier to use in a lot of situations, whereas tracking weapons I think are just harder to use. I think that's why a lot of Elite Dangerous players are so used to that. It's like, I think that's why they want to play this game like that. It's like that's what they're used to. For how Elite Dangerous works, that actually is better for Elite Dangerous. I wouldn't say it's necessarily better in this game. I'd say it's better against half the weapons and makes you more vulnerable to the other half. If you fly like that.
Yeah, probably.
It's a decision. It's like, do you want to be good against people who use the slow weapons or people who use the fast? It's like, which one? So you want to be good against HVCs or do you want to be good against Gatling guns? It's like, which one do you want? For, like, bonus resistance, too. But it's like, yeah. But it's like, in terms of, like, fighting against when you're using a rock, Gat and Flak are the worst. And then HVC is also pretty hard to fight against because you can suppress an HVC for, like, a really, really long time. Because it's very energy efficient.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's kind of why I kind of want it to get nerfed in the sense that it doesn't have infinite damage potential if you're not getting shot at or using your engines or whatever. So that after like 30 seconds of holding it down, you will like deplete your energy, because then it's like, well, you are never making yourself vulnerable if you're just dodging very well. It's like, because
yeah,
I was thinking more in the context of team fights. It's like, well, if you have wingman that are just being a turret with HVC and they never run out of energy where the enemy would have a chance to punish them for it, that just seems a little silly to me. It's like, well, everyone's just gonna fire support with heavy can. It'll be the premier choice in supporting fire, due to it being the less risky for the end user. Yeah. I think that was about it. I'm starting to get tired of rocks, though. It's like, man, I'm gonna break my mouse trying to... The amount of lead these frickin' things need. Going crazy. So I'm glad I didn't decide to use the stick, because, oh my god, I wouldn't be able to work today. It's like, hey, we need you to clean these rooms. I can't do it. See, I can't wipe down anything anymore. Interference. Something flew and blocked a shot. Trying to remember when we were dueling Renzo like forever ago for the ladder. Who was it that kept getting between you that you got so fed up that you just killed them? Do you remember? So I don't remember who it was that did that. Oh, it was it.
You mean?
Oh, okay.
You mean today?
No, it was like 8 months ago, probably.
I can't tell because I've just been here for like
Yeah,
2 days.
yeah.
I just have a 2 days experience, so
I
I can't tell.
was just trying to remember. I just remember Renzo. We were having a duel and he just killed him out of frustration for spectating. Well, Ictus really he really likes killing me. It's one of his favorite pastimes. Alright. So it's basically like it's determinate. It's like I always thought with rocks. It's like your effectiveness of a rock is entirely determined on what the weapon the guy you're fighting is using. Is what determines how your life is if you deal with it. Vulcan's probably also not something. All right. Do I want to switch to something else? It's like, well, I do. I'll just use plasma. I'm not very good with it, but it's like I just want to use it because it's been debuffed. Has it's like, oh, now we gotta figure out the need for whatever it was for this. I don't remember. Oh, something you weren't here for that was really fun while it lasted. It used to be where if you didn't have the attack computer, it was a separate setting, essentially. And the perk you got for not having the aim assist was you got to have double the health. You just got damage resistance, which made every ship that you'd use double the health. That was so fun while it lasted, because you were so durable. It's like, if you're in a bomber and you were also stacking the holes, which also give you a little bit of damage resist, like, I would fight, like, 5 people consecutively and be down to half health in a bomber. It's just like, this is amazing.
I'm wondering though, since hull reinforcement can stack, can you turn a bomber into a living torpedo, like ram
It's like
the hell of out of any ship?
It's like I mean, it helps out. I mean, the bomber as stock can ram everything lighter than it and survive. It just makes it a little bit better. It doesn't hit like a critical mass where it's like you could ram like 10 people before you die. It's not that good, but it makes it slightly more effective.
And does the hull reinforcement does it actually give a lot of health, or is it?
It's basically, I don't know the exact values. It's around 10% per one, so I'd have like 20% more health with 2 of them.
Oh,
It's not that much. I think statistically it's the worst passive statistically, but because it's giving you health, it's the most useful for me because it's the only thing I care about. It's like, I don't care about energy efficiency on the boosting. It's like, I don't care about, like... Well, I care a little bit about faster strafing, but the G-forces get in the way of that. As much as faster strafing is nice to have, I feel like I'm not getting my mileage out of it. Oh, they really did buff plasma. Because it's like... It used to be where if you're trading with a Vulcan, you're gonna lose, because you're actually gonna do less damage per shot than he will. But now it's about... Now it feels like it's actually stronger per shot, even on chipping damage. And then that would actually mean that if, like, in terms of, like, energy sapping, it's, like, insanely good for, like, energy sapping. Yeah, that was a good one. Alright, I'll fight one more time, and then I'll be ending my stream, as well as, like, not playing just because I want to have, like, a lot of time to chill out before I go to work for the day.
Okay, I'll have to leave too. I've actually convinced my brother to download the game too, so
Oh, nice.
I will help him out in a few seconds.
And you can compete against each other. That'd be great. So yeah, it's a pretty good game.
Owie, no, no.
Oh no!
What was that? Oh, okay, I see.
Ow. I didn't dodge
Was
him.
this-
I went the wrong direction. That was what I did there. It shouldn't have hit me. I picked the wrong. I went like up when I should have gone down. That was what I did. So I could tell. Alright. So that'll be the ending this time. So let's get
That was cool.
Yeah. Alright, so you have yourself a good one. And thanks for